Dacia feel they have conquered the B segment car. Not that they're giving it up, but let me introduce to you the Bigster, which is their next approach on taking over the C segment car. They're offering lots of powertrains, 4x4, the 130 LPG versions and the hybrid 155, which this version is, which promises to be in electric mode for about 80% of the time. It's powered by a small battery that keeps topping up from the petrol engine. That then shuts down and in theory gives you a really economical and efficient drive. And if you go for the LPG version, you've got two separate tanks, up to 90 litres in total, with a combined range of about 1,500 kilometres. Have Dacia gone full-on notions on us with their fancy sunroof and their 19-inch alloy wheels and their fancy new exclusive-only Bigster colour? Or is it still true to the DNA of what that little logo stands for? Let's find out in this video. Welcome to Marseille and welcome to Nobby on Cars. Oh, and a really wealthy Irishman owns part of this hotel and vineyard that I'm in, which is just further proof you should pay more attention in school, kids, or you'll end up being a YouTuber doing car reviews. 4.57 meters long, 22 centimeters ground clearance. So if you go for the 4x4 version, this will actually do what it's told and get you around in an off-road setting. You can get 17, 18 and 19-inch alloys. These are the upgraded ones. Some versions of the car will get discs all round. So you have Journey and you have Extreme being the specs you want. Some models will get a glass roof as standard. Some models it's an optional extra. But the point Dacia are making is if you want to make this a fancy car, you can. And if you don't have to go for all the extras. They're still giving you trim levels for every budget. The sides of the car are basically meant to be durable, whether it's car park scratches or from taking it off-road. So you have this starkle material all over the side of the car. It does like someone's been painting near your vehicle on a windy day. It's only when you get up close that you see it, but all the high gloss plastic that we're getting on so many SUVs are gone because Dacia just say it's just a more durable thing. There is still a bit of high gloss on this version of the car over the A-pillars sweeping across the roof into those roof bars, which Dacia are very, very proud of. They're ingenious modular roof bars is what they call them. They're standard on the Bigster Extreme. They're longitudinal, which is not easy to say. And on the Extreme version, they can be repositioned crosswise, but all other Bigster models get fixed longitudinal roof bars as standard. And that just means you've got more space if you do your family holidays and you want to stick things onto the roof. In fact, there's even a camping box that you can attach to the back of the car if that is your thing, and the towing capacity is now increased to about, in their own words, 1,000 kilos. Someone needs to test that out to see how about 1,000 kilos it actually is. Car's got some nice effects here over the wing. You have ridges on the bonnet, which again give it a kind of a rough, rugged look. The Y pattern headlights, same on the rear of the car, and they finish up in U-clips inside the vehicle, which if you haven't seen by now, where have you been? You need to get your head around the Dacia U-clips, because essentially they turn the car into little, I suppose, hooks for gadgets, but not just gadgets, torches, phone holders, device holders, but even a shopping bag holder in the passenger area for a takeaway. And you'll be able to afford lots of takeaways, hopefully, because you won't have broke the bank buying your Dacia, which again we'll confirm when we get Irish prices. This is the new logo. Obviously it's not new, but it is new in terms of the last few years. More of the starkle goodness down here. Remember, this is all recycled materials. I love the little pin spot fog light that's down here, and there is a bit of an air curtain that goes over your front wheels. The front and rear skid plates and the bumper area, again, all this stark material, and down here it means if they get marked it doesn't stand out as much, and they say it'll look better for longer, and it uses obviously less paint because you're not using paint all over these areas. Here's the white pattern on the lights, a wiper, very important, still coming with the car. Depending on trim, a little bit of a pattern over here, the Dacia lettering in white, and look at that, an electric boot in a Dacia. Can you believe your eyes, lads? 702 litres in the back of this thing, or 2.7 metres of area space if you fold the rear seats. And I love the parcel shelf. This is really, really clever. So there's a totally flexible parcel shelf over here, which is great if you've got kids and bikes and their buggies, and it molds around them essentially. But what if you just want that parcel shelf to move halfway through the car? So you pull this up, and then you have grooves halfway down that let you stop the cover halfway. Now maybe you've got a bulkier item here, and I don't know why you'd want that, but it's just good that someone's thought of it. There is storage down below here for items, and look at this, lads. There is a space saver wheel here, so you're not changing the tyre in the middle of the night. If you want to take that out, you can drop that floor further down. Want to drop the seats? There's a handle there, and it's a 40-20-40 split, because maybe you want to load something through here but still be able to carry 4 people. That you've thought of that. Oh, and here's one of the little U-clip things here, and basically that means you have a light up here. You know, just clever stuff. Yes, it reminds me of Skoda, but that's no bad thing. I still can't believe there's a Dacia with an electric boot. Something else electric in here that's also the first in the Bigster. I don't want to alarm anybody, but this is a Dacia, and I'm opening the sunroof inside it. Actual fresh air, actual sunroof in the Bigster. If you're not a fan of getting seatbelts caught in these seats when you drop them down, they have a little catch here as well to stop that wrecking your head. Very handy. As a father of, well, one left who's a small child, those door handles sometimes problematic if you have smaller kids. Bear it in mind. What will definitely make them happy though is this. If you're not using the middle row, you can stick your device in here, watch yourself or whoever you want to watch. There's cup holders, and it's again another example of Dacia being the coolest dude in the school or dudette. And obviously if you do need that, then you've got seats for 3 people. Here's another example of the U-clip holders. So they literally just slide out. It's a little groove in the back, they clip on, you can stick another device in there. Whatever use you have for an individual accessory, you can just hook it onto the car, and it's simple. You get your own air vents back here. Not climate control now, let's not get ahead of ourselves, but you do get air vents. I love these little spotlights in the headlining, which then leads me on to this glass roof that actually opens. Isn't that? Who was expecting a glass roof in a Dacia? There's loads of space for your feet and your knees, and head height is good despite this glass roof. Everything back here is scratchy and durable, and they make no apologies about that. That's the whole point of a family vehicle, so they say. They've even put a little hook hanger on the B-pillar. How cool. Oh, and if you are getting in and out, the doors open pretty wide for getting little people in and out of the Bigster. Your eyes do not deceive you. That is an adjustable seat down there. Manual for lumbar. It's still a Dacia. But can you believe it once again? Notions. They've done some clever stuff in the front of the Bigster. They've raised up the dashboard to give you more knee and leg room in general. They've kept some of the good stuff. The phone holder, still here. Physical buttons on the steering wheel. If you like physical buttons, you're going to like all the aircon switches for temperature up and down, for demisting. And if you prefer to use screens, well, you have all that action here as well, up to 10 inches on both screens. The driver's one is particularly good. For the GSR2 settings, they've got a little button here, so you save your personal favorites. Maybe you don't like the beeps coming on every time you get in the car. You can save your personal preference here. Looking around you, it is still scratchy and durable. And as I mentioned in the rear, they're not apologizing for that. They want it to be a durable car for you and your family, but also wipeable if kids decide to puke all over it, for example. Down here, just a simple space divider thing for the drinks. You can cover this area up with a little sliding part, and under the armrest is a cooler box. If you want, you can use the rear armrest as a backpack, depending on the pack that you've ordered. There's a Nomad pack. They want you to be able to camp in this car with a camping pack if you like. You can use augmented reality on the Dacia app to find out will your boot take whatever you're trying to fit into it. That actually looks pretty cool. And also because the brand are an outdoors-ish company, whether you're chucking surfboards in the car or you do like to camp, the Dacia app will now also suggest nature walks and things you can do in the outdoors. So that's worth a look if you're a Dacia customer, or if you're not, you can browse it and dream about being one day. Lots of the leather, if that's what you want to call it, has been removed from the car. They're doing that throughout all their models, but it still feels comfortable. All the buttons here actually click. No haptic nonsense going on. The Y pattern makes it into the door cards, physical buttons for all the windows and the mirrors, which now have blind spot. And yeah, it's just a comfortable place to be, but you don't necessarily feel you're in this big new product from Dacia, because it all feels pretty, well, familiar, apart from that glass roof. Oh, and imagine this, heated seats and heated steering wheel, all sitting down the bottom of the screen, but also a heated windscreen for those cold winter mornings. As I just start to maneuver the car, I will say the visual quality on the reverse cameras, front and rear, could be better. They feel a little bit lacking in detail. This is the new Dacia 155 Hybrid. How it works is a 1.4 kilowatt hour battery that keeps getting topped up. There's a 0.8 kilowatt hour in the mild hybrid, not to confuse you too much. But this thing will do 5, maybe 4.9 litres per 100 kilometres. It's actually bettering Dacia's official figures when I was driving it today. I thought that was very impressive. The mild hybrid is the 140. Then you have the LPG version. Again, probably not going to be a big seller in Ireland, but I think they're one of the only brands to offer that in Europe. And there's the mild hybrid 4x4. If you're going to use this off-road, it's probably well worth a look. Some of the car lineup are 3 cylinders. This one is 4. You can have a combination of 4 gears, but then 2 for the motors. It all, especially in the mild hybrid, should work without the driver having any knowledge really of the change. That is a bit more obvious in this hybrid 155 because you've got more of a transition, but you can also use the electric mode more. So when you accelerate hard, you will get some moaning out of the engine. Up to 90 kilometers an hour today and beyond, that was the kind of speed I was doing, it was in battery. So you couldn't hear an awful lot. There's also an eco mode that will probably stay in battery even more often. The petrol engine, 107 brake horsepower. The electric motor, a 50 brake horsepower. And then you've got a high voltage battery that helps the car pull away from lights and stop-start traffic. And that gives you plenty of brake horsepower for what is a large car. And, you know, it's absolutely fine in terms of pace, picking up speed, overtaking. It all seems to work fine. I would like to try it on some slightly poorer roads, even in the back arse of Beyond in Marseille. The roads are very, very good. It's not the first time this 155 hybrid engine has been in some of their cars, but they have tweaked it to make it even more efficient in the Bigster. I know there's going to be some diehard Dacia diesel fans who will be lamenting about it, but really when you look at that fuel efficiency with a range of about 1,000 kilometers in a full tank, you genuinely are kind of wondering why you'd need a diesel at all. On the handling front, well, it's okay. It's built for comfort, not speed. A bit like myself, so it can be a little bit soft into bends, but where it makes up for, I suppose, is the suspension setup. These are on the bigger wheels, still very, very comfortable. I think everybody should be happy enough. Yes, there are bumps and imperfections in the road where it feels a little bit bumpy, but overall, it's a comfortable thing to just kind of waft along on a decent road in. If you're wondering about regen in this car, it predominantly works away in the background. There is a B mode on the gear selector, however, if you want a little bit more. But when you brake, it also helps to top up the small 1.4 kilowatt hour battery. I suppose the real box ticking exercise for potential Dacia owners, again, sticking to that affordability mantra, it's very fuel efficient. And isn't that the whole point? And it's reasonably comfortable. And again, isn't that the whole point? There's really only one thing this car has to get right, finally. And I'll mention it in the summary. I hope you've enjoyed the video, first of all, today. I know there will be people saying, I wish it was a 7-seater. I wish it has a diesel engine. I think the powertrain options are still pretty good, just like the trim options are pretty good. On the end cap front, the car hasn't been officially tested yet. The boss of Dacia has said they're not chasing 5-star safety ratings because it costs so much money to make cars achieve 5 stars. There's still plenty of GSR2 safety gadgets in the car, as I've demonstrated. Whether this gets a 4, that would be pretty high. I mean, there's been a lot of firsts in the Bigster, so why not the first in a 4-star NCAP safety rating? The last thing that this car has to get right in Ireland is the price. It's got to start with a 2, and even the higher trim versions, we saw in the recent Duster video it did, the higher spec extreme version creeping up to 35, 36,000 euro. Will this car in all the Journey trim get close to 40? I don't know right now because I don't have the prices, but if it does, it's an area that we just haven't seen before with Bigster. Does it put it up to the German brands? Well, I mean, it's functional in the same way. It doesn't feel as expensive, obviously, but for some people, this is an A to B car for their family. And can this do everything a Tiguan can do? In theory, yes, if you're not as precious about the badge on the front. Let me know what you think. Whatever your opinion, comments very welcome down below. Thank you for watching this far. You might consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one.